Welcome to Lofoten, Norway. Now, first time I've been here in the winter. What a place. What a place. Absolutely stunning. It appears I was in Iceland last week, and it appears that I looked in with the weather there. We had a fantastic week's worth of weather, beautiful sunrises and sunsets, the most amazing aurora display over Jökulsá and Ice Lagoon I have ever seen. KP5 solar storm, woohoo, it went off the scale, it was fantastic. So anyway, let's get on with the show. So I've set up, I've come down, I've walked down a steep section here. We've walked down to the water's edge. Now most of the images are taken behind, and you can see a shot in a little while. I shall take one from the roadside. Everybody tends to get it from there. Not a lot of people tend to come down to the water's edge. And if there's one thing you want to try and do to develop your landscape photography, yes, get the iconic shots, get the bankers, you know, get the shots that everybody recognizes. I've certainly got to. I run workshops and tours. I've got to get the iconic shots. But I think it's so important for personal development and to keep yourself motivated as well, and interested and continue the love affair with photography if you get either unique shots that are unique to you, or just generally unique to the minority. Not a lot of people probably come down to the water's edge at this time of the year and get these lovely pools of ice that just sort of nestle. So I've made the conscious decision, having looked at portrait and landscape, that this really is a landscape shot. I love the curvature of these snow mounds. I mean, they're just begging to be shot landscape. You got the lovely little ice sections that are all broken up at the water's edge, and then you've got that lovely mountain in the background with the red huts on the right hand side. It's got to be a landscape shot. So now my settings, ISO 100, generally the best ISO to go for. I'm shooting at f11, and because the nearest point of contact really with the scene is probably about 6-7 foot out. I could probably get away with f8 in truth, but I'm erring on the side of caution and doing f11. It's giving me a 20th of a second. If you put it into manual focus mode, it gives you focus peaking, which means that the screen, if you set it up correctly, anything that glows red is in focus. That's a winner. That is a winner. If you're using tilt shift lenses, you know, no longer do you have to set it up. You put it on, focus peaking, and when everything is red, you're in focus. It's a pretty simple affair. So that's it really. ISO 100, f11, 20th of a second, job done. Now I am shooting 2/3 of a stop overexposed. When you shoot in the snow, your metering will generally underexpose you because you're in a bright environment, and it needs to sort of try and counteract that. So you've got to override the camera decision to some degree and shoot 2/3 to 1 stop overexposed, and that'll be absolutely fine. Obviously review your histogram. I've already set this shot up. I've still got a little bit to play with on the histogram, to be honest with you. I'm probably a stop underexposed, but I don't want to shoot at 2 stops over. I'm happy with what I've got there. And I've focused pretty much on the end of this snow hump here, which is probably about 10-12 foot out. So I've got full depth of field. The mountain in the background will be sharp, and the snowman will be sharp. I will probably also do a long exposure shot as well, just to try and smooth out that water, but the wind's slightly picked up now, just a smidge. So the water has a little bit more of a ripple to it. I'm looking, the only problem with the long exposure is that the ice is slightly moving. You know what's going to happen. You're going to do a 30-second shot and all the ice is going to be blurred. So really, I think this is going to be a very early morning shot, or very last thing at night when it's absolutely calm, and you get some lovely mirror reflections. So probably not the ideal time to come at the moment. You get what you're given. We're here for 7 days. The chances are we're going to come here 2 or 3 times. There is an aurora planned tonight. God, I hope we get an aurora. But anyway, I'll show you this shot that I've just taken now. Right, we're at the most iconic viewpoint now in Lofoten, Hamnøy. It is the image that you see social media, in magazines, and it is the image that defines Lofoten, and you can understand why. So you've got the red Rubenair cabins, fishermen cabins down by the ocean. You've got the gorgeous mountain in the background. It just works beautifully well. So now we're here at dusk. The lights are starting to come on in the cabin and starting to give a lovely warm glow and showing some occupancy inside the cabins with snow all around. You've got that lovely juxtaposition of warmth and coldness. So I've set the camera up. Now I use a very, very tall Benro, a TMA 48 CXL, and it goes to a height of 6.5 feet. And people often ask, why the hell do you have a tripod that's 6.5 feet in height? Well, this is why. It gets you over railings. It's an absolute godsend. And when we were in snow an hour ago that were 3-4 foot in depth, you need a tripod at least to be able to sit high enough over the snow line. So I've set the camera up. I'm using the 1635. It's the only way you can get all of the elements that you want in shot. I'm now shooting f8 at 100 ISO, and the light is fading fast. So we're now looking at around about 2.5 seconds. Now that's fine. We've got some motion in the ocean down by the rocks, and that's fine. I don't really want more than 2.5 seconds. That will do me absolutely fine. No problem with that at all. I don't want a complete long exposure 30-second shot. I want some detail in the water, and this is fine. And as the water hits the islands, it creates some lovely patterns as you see it moving and sort of navigating around the snow-covered islands. So the location for this shot, and you'll hear traffic, is that we're on a bridge. And quite often traffic passes, there are traffic lights on either end, and you'll only get one flow direction of traffic at any one given time. There's probably about another 6 photographers, one on either side, and about 5 behind me, including Ed, wherever Ed is. And it is quite a popular spot. When we turned up, there were only 2 down by the water's edge. You can actually sort of walk down to the water's edge, which is a less common shot. This is the iconic sort of viewpoint, really. So I'm going to get the shot, and here it is now. Okay, good morning, day 2, and I'm back at Rayne again. Now we came down this morning to shoot the traditional scene of the town and the mountain, and a lovely sunrise, and a sunrise was promised but never delivered. There was a low-lying cloud just over the horizon. The sun never came up and over in good time. Needless to say, we ditched that shot. We drove around, got a couple of extra shots, went and had a coffee and a hot dog, and it's nearly lunchtime now. And we were just driving out of the town, and we noticed there is a sunbow. Now, for those of you who are familiar with my fogbow shot in Scotland back in November 2016, well, this is a sunbow. So we pulled up hastily. We pitched up by the side of the road. Eddie's somewhere floating around, a good friend of mine who's joining me on this 1-week trip to Lofoten. And we're trying to position the sunbow over a beautiful little sort of peninsula. Some houses on the peninsula. It looks very idyllic, absolutely gorgeous. Yes, the sun is going to burn out on the shot that I'm going to take. I'm going to take a 3-shot HDR in camera, but this EOS R Canon mirrorless, excuse me, will take 3 raw shots and then give you a JPEG to finish. So if you're not happy with the JPEG, you can then go home and obviously merge those 3 raw files together, which is probably what I'll do anyway. I just wanted to see what the camera was capable of in shooting directly into the sun whilst getting the sunbow as well. So my basic settings are, I'm using a 1635 shooting about 22 mil. Shooting on an ISO 100, f11, 320th of a second. So it's quite bright out there. Ideally, I'd love the sun just to drop behind that lovely bank of cloud. You might not be able to see it because the screen's too bright, otherwise you'd never be able to see me. But needless to say, it isn't happening. The sun isn't going to get any higher than this, really. It's already probably now starting at noon to dip. You're only going to get about six and a bit hours of sunlight here a day. And what is it now? Second week in February. Saying that, you get some gorgeous light about 90 minutes to 2 hours before sunrise, the same again after. So you get this sort of quite low light all day round. So, you know, you might look at sunrise at 9 o'clock and sunset at, I don't know, 4 o'clock, I think it is, something like that. And you think, that's not worth coming out to Lofoten to get those kind of hours. You do get some gorgeous light either side of that. Don't worry about it. Get yourself here. Even in January, it's fine. You know, early February, no problem at all. Anyway, I'm going to show you the shot now. It might end up being absolutely nothing. Let's have a look. And fingers crossed, it actually works out okay. So I'll see you at the next location. Hey, end of day 2. Earlier I was at Rain for sunset. Ed and I have come along to Fredvang, which is not far from Ramberg, and I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. But anyway, we've come here because Ed made me aware of an image from Patrick Fugia, I believe the name is, however you pronounce it. I'll put a link down below. You can see his version of this image. Now, one of the advantages of coming here is that you've got this lovely, almost looks like a walnut whip. I'm always thinking food. That chocolate little dessert, where at the top it's just lovely and pointy. But anyway, there are loads and loads of ice sections here where the ice has come in frozen, and when the tide drops, the ice breaks. Patrick's got a lovely shot with the reflection. Well, essentially the shape of the mountain is sort of the shape of the ice closest to him. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We have the ice going east to west, so left to right rather than away from us. So I have opted to do a landscape shot, but I will also do a portrait. Anyway, we have a beautiful setup. I've got very, very low. Now, incidentally, when you're walking on the snow here, you're up to between your knees and your thighs. It's really hard work. We're right on the lake edge here where it's frozen, but it's broken up absolutely beautifully. It's a bit like limestone pavement in Yorkshire. You know, you've got to find that composition that sort of brings you in from the corners and then takes you through the image. It ain't easy, but if it was easy, hell, everybody would be doing it. So anyway, I've got a shot set up here. I'm on my 1635. I'm shooting at 16. I'm the widest I can be. Now, you'll notice here, there is a very, very dark bridge. And there are 2 road bridges here, which obviously carry traffic. And they make quite a photogenic shot. So you can go for a really wide angle shot, as I've done here, or you can actually go, say, 2470 and just crop in to this section here with the mountain and the bridge, and I'll also do that as well. The sun is setting over to my left shoulder here, so we're not really expecting a tremendous amount of colour, but there's some real lovely detail in that sky, as you can see here. A little bit clearer above. I feel like a weatherman now. You know, low pressure here, high pressure there, coming in the beast from the east. But anyway, that's enough about me. We're going to fire off a shot. We're looking now, I've got a 2-stop hard edge Gradon, just bringing us down to that sky. But to be honest, since I started this video, the sky has mellowed a little bit. It was very, very bright on the right hand side. So if I now remove the filter, because I now no longer believe that I need the filter, the grad filter, to darken that section of the sky. It looks very bright as you're looking at this video now, because obviously I'm overexposing, so you can see my good look and handsome features. But as I look at the histogram, I am well within. I am not far off the blacks, and I've probably got around about 1 stop of light to play with on the right hand side, on the white side. So I can push it a little bit more, and I'm a 1/3 of a stop underexposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2/3 of a stop overexposed. And that will bring the histogram further over to the right. Now, ordinarily in Canons of old, and I'm talking probably Canon 5D Mark III and older, you had to protect your shadows. If you took a shot that was too dark and you tried to lighten the shadows, you get a lot of noise, a lot of colour noise. It looked awful. Now the 5D Mark IV and this EOS are fantastic, and I dare say the 1D Mark II, which I've never used, 1DX Mark II, but you can, you know, underexpose if you want and pull the detail out the shadows to around about 2.5 stops of light underexposed, on average anyway. But there's no need to do it with this. And you do want to try and push your histogram up to the bright side, the right-hand side. That's where a lot of the detail, a lot of the quality is lost if you end up underexposing. And the nice thing with the Canons is when you take a shot, you can actually see the file size. So I'll give you an example. If I shoot with the histogram in the middle, so pretty much even on either side, I'm going to take a shot now, 1.6 seconds. And because it's mirrorless, I no longer have to cover the viewfinder from light because it's electronic. Now, I look at it now and I look at the information, and the information tells me that it is a bang-on 30 megabyte file. And that's with the histogram smack bang in the middle. Now, watch what happens. If I then shoot, hey, let's go one stop overexposed, and the histogram is right up to the whites on the right hand side. Let's get a shot. And this is a 3.2 second. Because I've gone one stop more, you double your shutter time. And now when you review, we've gone from 30 megabytes to 32.8, which means you've got nearly 10% extra quality out of that raw file by pushing your histogram further up to the right hand side. And some people will say to me, but you know, I want it dark, I want it atmospheric and ethereal. Hey, that's fine. Just don't do it in camera. Get the shot, get as much quality in the shot, get it home, get it edited, darken it down if you want, but you've got more quality in the raw file to darken that down. So you still end up with your atmospheric, dark, ethereal looking shot, but it's of a better quality by around about 10%. I mean, you've got 10% more information, I should say, on that raw file. So there's a tip for you. But anyway, enough prattling on for me. I'm going to take a shot, and here it is now.